Hello everyone, Voodoo here, and with 11.1.7 on the horizon, it means that 11.2 stuff is going to start coming out pretty soon. So in today's video, what I wanted to do is go over like 5 things that I want to see for Havoc Demon Hunter in the next season. Obviously there's more than this, but I wanted to go through and take like my biggest things in general and just like talk about them, and hopefully we get some of them in the 11.2 PTR. Once that's up, of course, we're going to cover all the Havoc stuff like usual, so make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We're trying to get to 15,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We should get that, but you know, do it anyways and like to help spread the video. With that, let's just go over some stuff that I want to see, the 5 things for Havoc in season 3 11.2 of the War Within. All right, so the very first thing that I want to talk about is Sigil of Silence. Now if you've watched on the channel, I actually have made a video on this already, but Sigil of Silence is one of those things that Havoc, I think, kind of deserves at this point. So back in beta, we actually had it in the class tree itself. They removed it because it was too powerful, but it's been nerfed, I think, like 4 or 5 times since then, and Vengeance already has a stronger version. But a lack of Sigil of Silence is one of the reasons why Havoc itself has not been pretty good in Mythic Plus for a long time. The only time we were really good was when we were overtuned. Now we are strong, well, not strong, but we are like viable. But I think honestly, having this between Havoc and Vengeance would be a good thing. Just having it accessible in the spec tree, maybe in the middle of the tree, have it be a weaker version so it's not super turbo broken, I think would just be really good for Havoc and allow more viability and optionality to bring it into a pack, especially with how weak a lot of different stuns have gotten in a pug environment. So sticking with the class tree here for number 2, it's going to just be in general the class tree. So the big thing here is Darkness. Darkness exists in the bottom of the spec of the class tree, which is not where it should be. Generally speaking, a lot of these powerful utilities that specs have, like these group cooldowns, like anti-magic zone or the shout that warriors have, are featured much higher in the tree and are much less expensive to get. In order to get Darkness how it used to be, you have to spend 2 points in the bottom of the tree to get it, which is frankly kind of crazy. I would love to have more survivability options, more utility options down here in this tree, but we are stuck taking Darkness for 5 minutes or 2 points to make it a 3-minute cooldown, which compared to a lot of other things, when something like Rally or something like AMZ are arguably stronger, is kind of weird. So moving this up, I think, makes a ton of sense. And on top of that, I think in general, the class tree is pretty outdated. A lot of class trees have been continuously updated over time, obviously as they like learn more about what goes into a good class tree, what goes into good class design. We've seen a lot of things change. We've seen that a lot of the throughput nodes have either been like collapsed or made easier to access, or you can get them a lot easier and still have lots of points for utility. The thing with Havoc's class tree, and I guess Vengeance too, is that there are a lot of throughput nodes that you have to take, which leaves you with very few other options for utility. But even if you do have those options, there's not really like a ton of good things to take on the tree, right? Like there's just not many nodes to pick from for utility. And a lot of the specs, a lot of the class points you do spend have to go into throughput, right? Like you're spending all the Fury stuff, the Glaive stuff, Fellblade, the Immolation, Aura, crit damage increase, Demonic. You have to take the Mastery increase. You have to take the survivability stuff from the Leech and the HP increase. And then you have to take go down to 2-minute meta, and you have to go down to either one of the 2 sides depending on which hero tree you're playing. So it very much is outdated. There's not a lot of optionality in the tree, and there's like way too many throughput nodes, and Darkness is a bit of a problem. So I'd love just kind of a complete overhaul here, but at the very minimum, I would want Darkness just moved up and made easier to take. Moving on to the spec tree now, the third thing I want is the removal of Know Your Enemy. Now you're probably like, Voodoo, what are you talking about? That's crazy. That's insane. Why would you ever want to remove Know Your Enemy? That's like the reason we exist. And I agree, it is the reason we exist. It's pound for pound one of the strongest talent nodes in the entire game, which is like crazy when you think about it. But it as a talent is too powerful. It warps how Havoc interacts with its spec tree. Basically every single build starts with, how can I get to Know Your Enemy as quick as possible, because I need these 2 nodes, unless you're playing PvP. But let's be real here, PvP is not a game mode that I care about at all. But every single thing starts with, how can I get to these things as fast as possible? I need this node or I do nothing. Now CD is the same in like a smaller sense. It is powerful but not as strong. So having these warpingly powerful 2-point nodes, especially in the 3rd gate of our tree, which is where a lot of builds are supposed to be like, hey, this is where my build comes together. This is where, like, you know, there's 4 or 5 branches. I can go down 2 or 3 of them and really make my build my own. We're down here where it's like, okay, I need to pick up these 2 incredibly powerful 2-point nodes. That's 4 of my 10 points in the tree. And what can we do after that? It really limits how builds exist. it really makes a lot of Havoc builds play the exact same, which, you know, maybe you like that, maybe you don't like that. Right now, realistically, there's only 2 builds. There's movement and no movement, no matter what you do, which maybe you're fine with that, but a lot of different specs just have different options. Like Frost, for example, you can play 2-hand or one-handed, 2-handers or 1-handers, Breath or Obliteration. Unholy, I don't know why I'm talking about death type. Unholy can be like minions or diseases or stuff like that. So there's a lot of different like options for a lot of specs, and Havoc kind of lacks those, while being forced to go down into these super powerful trees that really warp what Havoc does and warp how we spend our points. I believe that Reels agrees with me, because I think I brought this up to him and he agreed, but maybe not right now. This might be an expansion feature rather than a patch feature. But if you look at like other spec trees, we see that MM Hunter even has a node similar to Know Your Enemy that's higher in the tree and is 1 point. I'd be super fine with that, make it easier to access. 1 point right at the top of the tree, super fine with that. But having it be 2 points way down the bottom of a tree for like one of the strongest talent nodes in the game, I think it needs to go for the health of the spec, and obviously I won't have it to be balanced after that, but it's just like way too warping to exist as it is right now. So building onto that is that I think a lot of different themes in our talent tree, like the spec tree, are either just like left to kind of rot or aren't really fully fleshed out. Part of that isn't, of course, due to the Know Your Enemy problem, but if we talk about something like Glaive Tempest or Fel Barrage, I think they kind of just sit there and they don't really do anything. They're like really weak, they're not worth the talent nodes, and especially with the addition of the glaive talent tree thing where you throw glaives with Blade Dance, the old tier set, which honestly I love. I think it's a great talent node to have. But it leaves you in a place where Glaive Tempest and Fel Barrage rot. They don't do anything. There's no reason to take them ever. They're weak because they've been nerfed a few times. So I'd love these things to be buffed up, and I would love a talent on each of them to expand what they do. A lot of other specs in the game have this, where, you know, this is kind of what I'm talking about, where you go down into a build and you make it like, oh, let's do a Fel Barrage build or a Glaive Tempest build, and you put a talent point into improved Fel Barrage that does something, or improved, you know what I'm saying here, right? Where there's not really tons of opportunity to improve on these abilities. Like if we look at Windwalker Monk, they have that entire right side that's all the Strike of the Windlord improvements. They have the left side that's like the Jade Lightning stuff or some like Spinning Crane Kick stuff. They have the middle, which is kind of Zuen themed. They have some like Blackout Kick stuff and some Rolling Dragon Punch stuff thrown in there, right? Like there's ways to tailor your build and ways to improve on abilities you have, but for Havoc, it's just like, oh yeah, here's Glaive Tempest. It doesn't interact with anything, it just is a button you press. Or here's Fel Barrage. It doesn't interact with anything, just a button you press. And on top of that, we also have the like main ability Havoc presses, Death Sweep and Blade Dance, which is like the same thing. If you don't like, the only talents on the tree that interact with it are First Blood. I guess you can kind of count Essence Break. You can kind of count the Glaive talent at the bottom of the tree, and then it's like Trail of Ruin and the one that improves the Final Slash. Right? There's not a lot of things that interact at all with Blade Dance or Death Sweep, but it's one of Havoc's like main abilities, right? It's like the ability to press the second most often behind Chaos Strike, and there's a whole Chaos Strike branch of the tree. So I think just like improving on a lot of these areas for Havoc that are just underdeveloped and don't really have the optionality or the ability to like play with or to make a build with would be great, and allow it a lot more like options and gameplay and like depth to the tree. So that's kind of my fourth thing. Finally, we gotta just talk about tier sets. I mean, I just want a halfway decent tier set. Like just in general, Havoc's tier set, the last tier, is horrible. Just like no holds barred. They've buffed it multiple times, but realistically, any tier set you take that isn't an upgrade until it's 30 item levels higher is ridiculous, right? Like I'm sure there are players out there, maybe not, but there might be players out there that are still playing their season 1 tier set because it's so much stronger than season 2, and season 2's is really numerically bad. Now I'd be more okay with that if it like changed how you played or was interesting, but a lot of, I mean, all of the tier sets this season really are not very interesting. They did this thing I didn't think worked out very well, where they're all kind of the same, and each like role has a different like theme to their tier sets. Like ranged ones are all similar, melee are all similar, healer are all similar, and tank are all similar. I don't think that worked out very well. I hope they don't ever do that again. But even between some of the melee ones, a lot of them are way more interesting or change how you play at least a little bit. Havoc's is completely passive, completely set it and forget it. It's not very strong. So I'm looking for something that's at least like, I don't even care if it's strong. I just want like middle of the pack, where we upgrade it before it's 30 eye levels and have it interact with how we play a little bit. Like it doesn't need to change talents, although I would like that it just like maybe interact with a talent. Maybe it's a Glaive Tempest one. I don't know. I don't care. But interacting with a talent in some way would be great. And I think it would really go how tier sets are supposed to function, right? Like tier sets are supposed to change how your spec plays between a tier. And they're just not doing that right now, especially with Havoc. So I really want that to be brought back. It doesn't need to be super powerful. Like, I'm fine with like a middle of the road 5% increase or whatever, but at least make it interesting, at least make it fun, at least make it do something other than just this passive random chance to increase our damage and then give us a little bit of crit damage, right? Like, give us something more. And there you have it. Those are 5 of the things that I want to see for Havoc. Obviously, there's like more. Like, you could buff Felskar. There's a ton of stuff for the hero talent tree. There's a lot more in the spec tree you can get at. But I don't want to go over that in this video. I want this to be a nice, focused, short video for you guys to go over what I want to see. So let me know what you want to see. What's your #1 thing that you want to see for Havoc next tier? Do you want movement to be stronger? Do you want no mover to be the best? Right now, they're actually really well balanced, so I think that's great. But like, what do you want to see? And don't say Sinful Brand for Havoc next year. Like, let me know. I think it's actually really cool seeing a lot of the community's like opinions on this. Like, a lot of people want different things, which is part of the reason why I think Havoc's a great spec. A lot of people play it for different reasons, which is super cool and super fun. Honestly, I love that. But yeah, these are 5 of the things I want to see. Top 5-ish. I try to mix it up a bit. Maybe it's like 1 through 7 and 5 and 6 are not here. Whatever. But these are the things that I really want to see next tier for Havoc. Hopefully we get changes. Hopefully it's not just like, oh yeah, Havoc's perfect, no changes. Hopefully we're at least like a little stronger next tier. But yeah, if only one of these things happen, I think I'll be happy. If all of them happy, I'll be ecstatic. But of course, we will keep that updated as 11.2 comes out. Hopefully sometime in the next few weeks. It's looking like August will be a release date for this. So we should get PTR pretty soon here, and hopefully we see some of these things. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you want to see, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Pushing for 15,000. I will see you guys later. Peace. A big thank you to everyone watching my videos, but especially to my channel members. Thank you, Alexander Trifunovic, Rukaza, Fear Redefined, Loose Change, Jorge Polanco, Matthew Barr, Zuligan, Chocobo Merc, Gabriel Correa, Matchman 133, and Falafadar Dark Terror. Thank you so much to everybody. If you want to join and support me in making videos, consider following the link below. I will be adding more perks to this over the summer as I get more time, including log review, which isn't available right now. But again, I do appreciate everybody just supporting me and watching the videos. So I'll see you guys next time. Thank you. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Peace.